Hello, how are you? It's about that time of day again. So I hope you're all having a great Wednesday, and that the world is treating you well. That you're doing good things. Hope you're healthy, happy, prosperous, all that stuff. Now, if you happen to be trading Bitcoin and you happen to be looking at the markets in on like TradingView or whatever, or on anything, I hope you'll notice what happened, especially if you're using the VEPS tools from Alpha Trading. Namely, what happened yesterday, right, when it hit that 90K and then couldn't really get past it. Why do you think that happened? You know? I'll give you 3 seconds to guess. Did you figure it out? If you know, write it in the comments. Want me to tell you? I'll tell you. So there was distribution to the upside. If you look at the daily time frame, you can see that very clearly. The distributions went up past the third standard deviation bands of both the 3012 and the 1110 RMLRs. And that's even if you put the correlation look back length on the non-standard length for the band length look back. Right? So even if you made it the standard 30, or if you lowered it to a shorter one, either way, the price action followed the returns up, and the returns went so freaking high that the price action bounced nicely. And what that made happen is it gave the asset an area to either break through and keep running, or if it were to stop running, as it did 2 days ago when it first came close to or hit 90, depending on what exchange you're on, it basically was an area that there would be mean reversions from. And we've been telling you that since it was moving up past, the 85 mark. We said, watch out, it's going to be pulling back any moment now. When it got to close to 90, it sure pulled back very nice, pulled back to 85. So you had a very nice, 5% move to the downside. And that was no surprise at all, right? What's more is the distributions then continued. After that little pullback, you had to move back up again to 90 yesterday. Again, it couldn't really get past it. Got a little few bucks past where it was before, but it couldn't get past. And then the mean reverted again. And it's been mean reverting again to those RMLR bands, right, on different time frames. So does that mean it's going to necessarily drop down to 70K to make a quick mean reversion to that daily, for example, RMLR? No, it doesn't have to. Come with me, man. It's just awesome, dude. Two adorable little dogs go running off. So funny. So the mean reversions continue on the daily time frame and on the lower time frames, and also the mean reversion remains in progress on the weekly. And now it's at like 92, 93K, right? So it got real close to completing that mean reversion, and it could still theoretically even pump up today and hit it. But to do that, there are some mean reversions on lower time frames that are likely to complete first. Right? Very highly probable before it would do such a thing. Why? Because they're already in progress. And the probability on each time frame remains the same, that once it is in progress, it is kind of an unstoppable force, right? That it is more likely to complete said mean reversion than to hit said outer band again. Hey, buddy. Hi. How you doing? Good. So, so it is far more likely that we'll see mean reversions continuing to happen. And many of them will probably be sideways or down. Right? If you look at the probability targets of where they are, right now they've readjusted, obviously, because of the new daily time frames and everything else. But you still have, like the weekly, central weekly range, which was not at all really tested, right? So the probability is that it's still pretty high that could happen. Does it have to be? No, it doesn't have to be. Right? But it could. And if it did, boy, that would really take the mickey out of a lot of people who have over-leveraged longs, right? Yesterday, I don't know if you noticed, but we went over it during the live stream. The liquidation charts showed that there was more than $1 billion that had been wrecked or liquidated on crypto exchanges in the previous 24 hours. Something like 200,000 people have been liquidated on a day when the asset was at an all-time high. 200,000 people got liquidated, and I think the biggest loss was like somebody lost $15 million worth of crypto. Imagine prices at an all-time high and you lose $15 million worth of crypto. That's the poor bastards that are doing that. They don't know how to trade. Maybe they got lucky once. Maybe they got lucky 5 times, 10, who knows? But they sure don't know how to trade. Because if you're losing 15 million, not like, oh, I've got $1.5 billion and I'm just going to put, 150 million on trade, because I'm worth like 150 billion. So I'm just going to put on like $1.5 billion to trade. And so if it loses 15 million, I'm out, because it's like a tiny percentage. No. Well, first of all, it's still a huge amount of money. Okay. Like, you got liquidated out of 15 million. That means you got wrecked. That means you had a position on that lost 100% of its value. The exchange took all of it. Your position was minus 100%, or close to it, 95%, or whatever your trading fee was, plus the negative, returns. So maybe you were down 97% or 99.5%, or whatever your trading fee and all that was, liquidation fee. Remember, there's a liquidation fee in addition to the trading fee. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Which is why it could be a few percent, right? In some places, you could be paying up to 5%, depending on what you're... Like, if you made that trade with a taker fee, some places you're paying like 2% or more just for the taker fee. Guess what happens when you add a liquidation fee on top of that, right? So that's why if you have, crazy leverage positions, especially, you're basically playing with dynamite. Now, maybe if you're losing $15 million, you don't really care because maybe you've got 100 times that, right? To mess around with. Who knows? Maybe you're a multi-billionaire. What do you care? There are a few thousand people like that walking around the planet to whom $15 million is, not a lot of money, but still, it's a lot of money, and billionaires know that. And the only ones who don't care about that are the ones who didn't earn it. The ones who were handed it, or the ones who got lucky winning it in some ridiculous way. Right? If you worked for that, if you created that fortune, you realize what it takes, and that's not the kind of numbers you play around with. You don't just mess around and let yourself get liquidated $15 million. But people do all the time. And we see it on the crypto exchanges all the time. Like we see every day, 500,000 there, 2 million there, 8 million there, 10 million. And yeah, once in a while, 15 million or more. And again, this was on the day that crypto, Bitcoin specifically, was at an all-time high. All right. When Bitcoin's at an all-time high, you should not be getting liquidated. If anything, you should be taking profits at the top. Oh, but why? It could keep going up. Great. And if it goes up, you can re-enter the trade. Right? You should be taking profits if you're trading it, if you're logging it. If you've been shorting it from like 50K or whatever, right, from back in August, and you've been trying to short it since then because you thought it would go down further, and you just held on to that position, I don't know what to tell you. You got issues, right? Like if you're holding it since that move when it went down to like 49K in the summer, and you've been holding on to a short with no leverage, and you think you're smart because you think it's going to go back down further than 49K, I don't know what to tell you. Please look at Bitcoin's returns over the past 15 years, almost 16 years now, since 2009. It has gone up more than 13 billion% since 2009. Right? In fact, if you look at it on a certain time frame, whatever, it's gone up between 13.2, 13.8 billion% in the last 15 years. You know how much gold has gone up? If you include to the recent highs, yeah, roughly like 200, 300%, less than 300%. I think it's like 210, 215, 220, whatever, maybe 250% in 15 years. The only reason I mention gold is because people always say Bitcoin is like gold 2.0. No, it's not like gold 2.0. It's much, much better than gold. You can't transmit information through gold very easily. Oh yeah, I can smelt it and I can stamp something on it. Yeah, okay. So you need to carve a message out of metal. You need to get an engraver to do that because it's not an easy thing to do. All right. You need to smelt the metal down, stamp the gold when it's just the right temperature, make sure it, hardens properly, and then send that gold to someone else, which is extremely risky because of the obvious intrinsic value that people put in to gold. They say, gold has value because it's useful for jewelry, it's useful for electronics, and people want it because it's a shiny metal. Right? It's not very divisible. You can't go to the store and buy a loaf of bread with it. Can't do a lot of things with it, right? can't store an NFT on it. You can't store an ordinal on it. Right? Even if, like I said, even if you can make information on it, which, yeah, sure, you can make jewelry, which is information, it's an expression, right? And you can write messages on it, sure, absolutely, with an engraver and everything else. You can't change that message. In other words, very easily, you can't update it with another message on top of it, and on top of it, and on top of it, very easily, right? In fact, it's practically impossible, right? And it's not a public ledger, right? People don't just walk around and have access to all the gold in the world or all the gold transactions in the world, right? That's not a thing. Most gold transactions are completely private. And even the ones that aren't are not all available to everyone. You can't just tap into a single blockchain of gold transactions and see all the gold transactions since the invention of gold transactions and gold. But you can with Bitcoin. You also can't just take any amount of gold you want across the border. It'd be quite hard. Right? Try taking a bar of gold, one bar of gold, across the border without declaring it and paying some kind of fee. But you can walk across the border with billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin in a wallet that nobody will ever notice, or literally have it in your mind if you just remember your seed phrase and nobody will ever notice, or you just write down your seed phrase on different pieces of paper, and as long as you have access to those pieces of paper, when you get to the other side of the border, you still have your Bitcoins with you. There's many ways to do it, right? I mean, you could also, and I wouldn't recommend it, but if you have a private computer network, completely private, that nobody else can access, like your own private intranet, in theory, you could put them on your private intranet that literally no one can dial into or anything, and access it that way, right? It's basically like storing it in an offline computer system. But again, I wouldn't recommend keeping Bitcoins online or anything like that. It's just not a good idea. In my opinion, whatever. But yeah, there's many ways that you can move your Bitcoins. They're also uncensorable, right? Immutable in the sense of whatever you send, that's it, is permanent once it's registered in the transaction log. And people can't just change it. So it has all these amazing qualities, which gold does not have. But gold has been used for thousands of years. Yeah, that's great. Gold's been used for thousands of years. And it'll probably still be used for thousands of years as jewelry and maybe in microelectronics a little bit here and there. And maybe in some other medical stuff here and there. That's pretty much it. It doesn't really have any other use. Oh, I'm sorry. In gourmand foodie stuff, where people literally eat gold, which is ridiculous and stupid. Right? Doesn't do anything good for you. Oh, but it's fancy. No, it's not fancy. It's just dumb. Okay? Your body doesn't digest it. You just pass it out. You're literally vacating gold on the other side after it comes, after you put it in your body. Why would you do that? Okay? If you know what charity is, take the gold that they would put on your food and go give it to support people. Right? If it's that important to you to waste money on your food, I'm sure you could just as easily, have it be something that you just give away and you wouldn't care, right? And then you might help somebody. Try doing that. It's more charitable, more helpful to humanity. I'll push this button. All right. Anyway, so yeah, distributions and mean reversions. They continue to operate normally. We're going to continue seeing them operate normally. We're going to continue seeing distributions and mean reversions on Bitcoin and other assets. And as you know, if you want to learn how to do that, you just go to the Alpha Trading Discord. You can learn for free, right? Just go to alphatradinghq.com/discord. And there, you can get free access to tools, free access to indicators, free access to traders discussing this stuff, free access to the live stream where you can participate by voice as well as with chat, like text chat. So basically it's for free. Are there things you can pay for? Yeah. You can pay for the professional set, what we call the pro trader indicators, which are on sale at crazy prices. We call them Black Friday prices. They're actually the same. They're currently on the Black Friday prices. Same deal we've had last year. They're ridiculously cheap. It's like $800 and something for a year's worth of subscription. It's crazy. Normally it's like almost $1,200, and that's even ridiculous. Like it's like $99 a month. If you buy 6 and 12-month packages, it's discounted, and then we discounted it even further for the holidays, and we just left those prices up. So you have insane discounts, and you can also get private tutoring if you want. That's for people who are, who want the private tutoring because they might learn it faster that way or whatever. And if you want to do that, just message me or go on the Discord. Ask one of the co-founders, ask me or Bilbo. Or if you want someone else to tutor you, ask one of the other co-founders. It's really, we only approve of the co-founders doing it because we're the ones who know, obviously, how our tools are meant to be and everything else, like from an authoritative point of view, so we can give you the answers you need. Anyway, that's it. Happy trading. Cheers.